Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the True Path Entrepreneur, your guide for living your purpose and growing a freedom-based business you love. I'm your host, Beth Weinstein, a transformational business coach helping current and aspiring entrepreneurs align with their true purpose and grow their business so you can help more people, profit with your passion, and have a thriving business you love working on your terms from anywhere on earth. And in today's interview, I'm really happy to be talking with my friend, Steph Jensen. Hey, Steph, welcome.
Hello.
Hey. So Steph is the creator of the Manifesting Diet, which teaches you how to feed and support yourself so you can be operating at your highest level in order to attract the things you desire. After struggling with foods that carry a negative, addicting energy, Steph discovered a method for breaking free by replacing those foods with one that support you, your blood sugar, prevent wild cravings, and give you the nutrients your body needs to operate at its highest capacity. Always a power manifester, once Steph cleaned up her diet, her ability to manifest things into her reality multiplied, and her life was never the same. She now combines her eating principles with ancient manifesting practices to produce wild results for her clients that exceed even her expectations. Certified as a functional nutrition coach, culinary nutrition expert, and integrative health and wellness coach, Steph is also a nomad entrepreneur and is always manifesting her next adventure. Steph, hey, welcome. Good to talk to you again. For those watching that know us, they've seen us on some Facebook Lives, I'm sure. Tell everybody a little bit, even though I know this story because I'm actually friends with you and I've known you a while, but I would love people to hear about your journey into entrepreneurship as a health and manifesting high vibrational coach.
Yeah, definitely. So I used to work in the corporate world, and like every 2 years, I was always changing jobs. I could never find something that made me happy. And along the way, I experienced some health challenges that had me, really shift the way that I was eating. And once I did, like you were saying in my bio, my whole life changed when I changed the way I was feeding myself. So I kind of knew that there was something to this food stuff, became really, really passionate about it, and then decided to make a career out of it. And I was about a month along into one of my trainings when I was laid off from my job at a really well-known travel website. And so it just was kind of the, universe's way of saying like, okay, this is what you're doing now. Like you've committed to this. So, even though it was not necessarily something that most people might look upon as a good thing, like being laid off from a job, it was actually a huge blessing. So that's kind of how I was pushed into it. And I've been doing it for at least 3 years now, maybe 4.
That's awesome. I always tell people, if you don't take action now and start getting your career, on the path of your true purpose, the universe will do it for you, which is the exact thing that happened to me. I got laid off. I had my father die. I had like a breakup, like multiple things. But it was the best things that ever happened, even though they were sad and scary and, destructive at the time. So tell people a little bit more. I would love to hear about, so I know you as a major power manifester, like you manifest more than most people that I know. But tell people, how did you come up with this manifesting diet and what's it all about? And how can people actually bring this into their day-to-day lives?
Well, it was all your idea.
I take credit because I noticed the manifesting.
Yeah, so Beth and I have been exchanging business advice and health advice for a long time. And so, when you were following, some of my health coaching advice, you're like, oh, I'm just manifesting like crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty standard. Me too. Like it's awesome, right? And then a lot of my clients started having the same experience. And I just kind of happened to attract in people who were a bit more spiritual and, really understood that stuff. And so, I'd be working with them over the course of like 6 months to a year. And they also had crazy results, like, manifesting their ideal job, their ideal apartment, things that they'd been working on for a long time. Because when you shift, the frequency of what you're feeding yourself, you can then shift your own frequency. And then the things are able to call in. So it's really quite simple, but I help people, make those shifts in a really gradual way so they don't feel, really scary and like your cravings aren't going off, and they might a little bit, but you get over it pretty quickly.
And then, I think it's really interesting that you came into what I would think is your true purpose. You're like me, you came from corporate, you were kind of being drained and burnt out. But, how do you relate like what was happening in your body and your diet, to something like tapping into your true purpose? Because a lot of this series is about people who are finding their purpose or want to find their purpose, or maybe have just discovered it and they're like owning it. So tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Well, I was just like completely out of alignment, especially with the earlier jobs that I had. I was working for fragrance and beauty companies, and now I'm like anti that stuff because I think, fragrances are just poisonous and all of that. But I was experiencing a lot of fatigue, some depression, anxiety. I wasn't sleeping very well, and all of those led me to realize, that I wasn't on my true path. Like I just wasn't a happy or very vibrant person. So, I kept changing jobs thinking that was going to help. And it did a little bit. Like I left the corporate world and started doing photography and kind of burnt out on that as well, which was hard because it's a very physical, demanding job. And so then I went back to the corporate as kind of a transition thing. And it's funny because when I was in this job, I was working for TripAdvisor, and even though it was like very relaxed, the hours were relaxed, I could take time off whenever I wanted and, wear whatever. It was, really cool environment. But I had a lot of pain in my legs and my knees specifically. And I had someone tell me that it is a sign of resistance to change and to the future. And so I kind of knew that was maybe a sign. And sure enough, like as soon as I left that job, I did a little bit of physical therapy too, but as soon as I left it, the knee pain went away completely and has never come back.
Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy. But it's not, because it's the body telling you the truth. And
Right.
it's interesting because me and my entrepreneur journey, I've been running multiple businesses, but, I have noticed that the better my body has become, like, right now it's probably at the most optimal it's been for a while. And it's,
Yeah.
injury free. I get more sleep than ever. I eat super clean foods now. I'm drinking water that's like the best water on probably the East Coast. And it is amazing how everything has aligned a lot more, including business. So, I think there's a lot to be said. And it is funny, when I was kind of changing businesses, I had a major injury in my leg. And of course, everybody kept telling me it's a deeper thing than just a literal injury. It was so much more like this trauma and, pain telling you something. So then how do you feel about, a lot of entrepreneurs I know watching, and I struggle with this, and I struggle with this. A lot of newer entrepreneurs are always, they're very busy. They work a lot of hours. They're under, kind of self-imposed stress because, getting it off the ground and making money and hustling.
Mm-hmm.
And, they tend to, at least I know when I started my other business, I was eating less or eating kind of faster foods, meaning like not fast foods, but out of packages, really like a ton of caffeine, always trying to maintain the sugar high and really keep myself hyped up to produce results in my business. What do you think about that kind of mentality? And we all know in like the tech startup world, it's kind of like a badge of honor to drink 10 cups of coffee, not sleep ever.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's sustainable. I think that anyone in that situation who tries lifestyle is going to burn out. And, most people eventually do, even if you're able to maintain it for a little bit. But, I'm of the belief, and, maybe I'm just a completely different personality type than the average startup tech person. But, I really believe in honoring myself and my body and its needs. Like I don't ever set an alarm unless I have like a flight to catch. I just wake up naturally. I feed myself when I'm hungry. I take time to cook, but I also choose to work from home because being able to prepare my own food is really, really important to me, and just being near my kitchen. And, that's one reason why I'm living in upstate New York near where you are, so that I can, my body was just craving more peace in nature. So I'm really in tune and able to listen to that. And that's also because I took out, the foods that kind of block my intuition around those things. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. It's really interesting because I actually have not really ever thought about the benefit of working from home is that I can cook fresh food. I just kind of did it because I was like, well, I'm at home. I have no excuse to not cook.
Yeah.
And it's like you have more time because you're not commuting. You're not, you don't have to carry stuff with you. But it's true. I used to live in New York City just like you. And it was so easy. Even when I went to my office, it's so easy to just buy quick food, even if it's healthy quick food, but buy it and it's like pre-made and God knows what's in it. And one place I used to love that I thought was healthy, I found out later was adding agave to almost all their foods.
Yeah.
But what you just said was really interesting. Like, what was it? You were just saying something about the foods and high vibration and oh my God, you just said the last thing. What was it about? Like,
Taking out foods that block your intuition.
yeah, the intuition.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. And then also, I'm a believer in running your business somewhat intuitively, also with action. But can you talk a little bit more about food and intuition and how it applies to growing your business and, finding your purpose, all that?
Yeah. Well, I firmly believe that foods like sugar, a lot of processed foods, a lot of like gluten products, all carry a very addictive energy to them and can really block your intuition and your inner voice, because those cravings and those voices, that those energies can be much louder than your own inner voice, both when it comes to your intuition and both just your body's own natural cravings. So when you take those foods out, and that includes other addictive foods like alcohol and coffee too, you're able to just be much more in tune with what your body really needs nutritionally. And once those needs are met, you're so much more in alignment and things just work. Like your body's going to function better. And then being able to be more in tune with your intuition, as well as just being able to manifest and have life flow, those things are just going to be so much easier when you're feeding your body what it really needs, instead of these foods that are really act like a poison, because your body has to work extra hard to get rid of those toxins instead of getting what it really needs.
Yeah. Wow. It's incredible, because when I work with clients that are really still trying to figure out what they want to do next and really, craving more of this purpose and not totally there knowing what it is, other than they know they want a business and they know they want a freedom. Some of the things I prescribe, like meditation, quieting down, journaling, doing things that bring them joy. It's all about tapping into your intuition. Yep. And it is funny because, with a handful of my clients, I've mentioned things like, when they say they're tired or it's been a really bad week, or, they've been feeling kind of down, I start to question, it's not just like what's happening, but like, what are you eating? How much caffeine, what sugar, did you drink alcohol? Are you sleeping? So
are you eating?
Yeah. Are you even eating at all? Because that's another main problem too, is like when blood sugars is completely down.
Yeah.
So what can you tell people about the art of manifesting? Like, I know you're a power manifester. You seem to get like everything just like instantly, but how do you incorporate this into what you teach and with the diet, as well as like, your own life?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned, blood sugar, because that's one of the things that I really work with people, is keeping their blood sugar super balanced, eating high vibe foods. And then there's a whole mindful eating component that I incorporate, because a lot of us are stuck in that fight or flight mode. We don't move into rest and digest when we sit down to eat. So therefore our digestive organs aren't actually turned on. But when it comes to the practical manifesting stuff, I think one of my biggest tools is really trying to drop the resistance to whatever you're trying to manifest. So let's say it's money, for example. This is a big one. And a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about money. And if you can just shorten the amount of time per day, like let's say you maybe spend 3 or 4 hours a day, like in the back of your mind worrying about money. But if you can shorten that, like set a time of the day, like to 10 or 15 minutes, like, okay, this is when I'm going to worry about it now. And then the rest of the day, you're free to think about other things and actually work on your business. Shortening that time of resistance to your goal, I think can be really, really beneficial. And even just trying to get to neutral around your feelings, with your intention or your goal, especially sitting in meditation, just trying to bring it to neutral. I think you'll find that naturally good feelings kind of bubble up once you try and neutralize those negative feelings and all that worry and anxiety.
Wow, this is a huge one, because resistance is probably one of the number one things entrepreneurs face, or new entrepreneurs, or people who are even making this transition from, corporate, let's say, or a job they hate. And then, there's so much that comes up. And I love that you bring up money, because of course that's one of the number one worries. And you can stay stuck. I always call it the downward spiral. You think about it, and then it's like, another. But I love the idea of setting a timer and allowing yourself like, okay, I'm going to worry for a total of 1 hour per day and not like 5 hours. You're right. People get stuck
Right.
on the same thing over and over and over. And now, is this something that like, if I drink less caffeine and didn't have sugar, like, does that actually help you worry less? And I know when I get coffee, I freak out a little bit. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Those two foods are both very stimulating, and they also put a lot of pressure and stress on the adrenals, which pump out our stress hormones, the cortisol and adrenaline. And when you have too much of that in your system, you're always going to be in a state of fear and anxiety. So that is one specific reason why I have people cut those foods out. And your energy then just will hopefully stabilize, especially if you're eating the right balance of foods instead. So yeah, those foods I think will drive that stress up for sure.
I love it. It's funny because usually when I do drink high caffeine, like a coffee, I know what I'm getting myself into. And it's like, okay, I have to be prepared to have more anxiety or maybe like overreact to something. But right now I drink this like very low caffeinated tea and it's not that bad. But so you've been mentioning this word high vibrational foods, and I've heard about this for years. I kind of know bits and pieces. I always hear about like, I don't know, papaya or, some kind of fruit being high vibrational. But, what do you think of, like, what is it all about? And then also, recently I had talked to someone who, she approaches all of her food with this, almost like a conversation, like, if you're eating animals, like thanking it and, like vibrating, like energizing her food before she eats it. Like, what do you think of all this? And is there something like real about it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can actually measure the frequency of food using Hertz. There's some device that they've been able to use to measure it. And, the foods that are the most natural and alive and, come from this planet, fruits and vegetables or plant-based foods are definitely the highest vibrating foods out there. And then the ones that are dead or, processed, those are going to be the lowest vibration. And then meat falls somewhere in the middle, the ones that are factory farmed and fed a lot of hormones and antibiotics, those are going to be a lot lower on the scale. And then, organic meat's a little bit higher. And so I do believe, meat can be really beneficial in keeping your blood sugar balanced, which is one of the keys, to this manifesting diet. But yeah, I think that, a lot of the processed foods out there are in fact very low vibe and dead. And so the dog just came in the room. Hey, Willa.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm
sure.
I know, right? So does that answer your question?
Yeah,
I forgot what.
No, it's just really interesting because, I've started hearing about high vibrational foods years ago, and I have, well, including you, I have 2 or 3 friends that don't drink alcohol anymore or only drink it very small quantities, special occasion, and it's like they take this, the energy around it is so different than the energy of like, just having a drink out with a friend. But, they almost take it as a spiritual approach to drinking alcohol. Like, okay, if it's a really special dinner or if it's a wedding or a major event, and really acknowledging the spirit of wine, which I love. I'm like, why aren't people teaching this? Like, we transform our society. Like, if we all approach it this way. Now,
I absolutely love that practice. And also, when I teach my mindful eating, I really do, teach people to tune into their food and try and imagine like where it grew, just really picture the whole life cycle of that food and giving gratitude for it as well.
That's a big one. I think it's huge. I try to do that almost every meal unless I'm here at my computer and eating, which I know is probably not high vibrational and you probably don't recommend. But actually, that was going to be my next question. Like, if you could give any, especially these entrepreneurs, there's a lot of people like us, solopreneurs, who we know that we work our butts off and but we still need to maintain the health and our self-care. What are like, a few things you would say are the most important things to either cut out and then maybe add in? Like, the things you find people are doing like the wrong most of the time.
Yeah, so I find, a lot of people skipping breakfast or just having coffee for breakfast or having something really high sugar, high carbs. And I know, if you're doing intermittent fasting and it's on purpose and it's working for you, then that's great. But making sure that your first meal of the day is something that is going to be really like solid. You want a good foundation for the rest of your day. So I always tell people to do fiber, fat, and protein for every meal. That's a really, really good balance for keeping your blood sugar stable instead of having it drop off and then you go back into that fear and anxiety and your body's like in survival mode, just give me food, and that's when you start craving the sugar and stuff as well. The number one thing that I recommend people take out is sugar, because that, the cravings for sugar speak more loudly than any other cravings or voices in your body. And once you cut it out, you will stop missing it. I promise you this. But it really is done best with someone who knows how to transition out of that. Otherwise, your withdrawal symptoms will just be going crazy and a lot of people fall off the bandwagon. So, I've worked with a lot of sugar addicts who thought that they could never live without it. And now they're like, oh, I'm totally fine. I don't miss it at all.
Wow. Yeah. It's, I raised my hand because, I'll be the first to admit I love sweets. I really try not to do them anymore. Very minimal. I have switched to maple syrup. When I do it, it's like, okay, like a teaspoon of maple syrup. But,
yeah,
what, I mean, is this a huge problem in our society with sugar? And, what would happen if, I know this is getting out to the public a little more about how addictive sugar is and how it's basically like destroying a lot of us. But like, do you have theories about like conspiracies, like sugar is actually here to just destroy us all and that's why it's put into everything without us knowing? Or you don't get political like that yet?
I mean, I don't get too political like that. But I mean, who knows? I do think that it has been used by a lot of the larger food companies to make us really addicted and hooked, on their. I also have read studies that, where sugar has been found to be more addictive than heroin and cocaine. The lab rats chose the sugar like 99% of the time when given the choice.
Oh my God.
And it's unfortunate that we're starting kids off at such a young age to see sugar as a reward and a treat. If there was cocaine in the cupcake, would you still be giving it to the 1-year-old? I mean, you kind of have to think of it as the same way. And, I used to be much softer in my approach, but, I think that holding that information back isn't helping anyone. I really want to get the word out there that sugar really is poison. There is little to zero nutritional benefit. We do need some natural sugars, for our brain and everything, but those can be found even in simply vegetables. And yeah, it's very widespread. It's leading to a lot of health issues. It's the number one cause of weight gain. That's, sugar is actually what tells your body to store fat because you need energy for later. The whole obesity, diabetes epidemic. And, it's also feeds cancer cells, just, a lot of health issues.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I know I could talk for hours about this sugar thing, and it's one of my biggest struggles too. And I know it's, most of it is actually emotional and mental. It's like, I was raised in a family that didn't get dessert. And when we did, it was like a special reward, exactly like you said. So then when I got old enough to purchase my own sugar products by myself, it was like free for all. Like, oh, I'm eating a cookie every single day. Like, especially in New York City where you can get like, fresh baked cookies on every single corner. But
anywhere, yeah.
But I went through that and now that's over. And I realized like, eating, like you said, mindfully, high vibrational, it's better for business. It's better for your brain. It's better for your body and your life altogether. And honestly, manifesting is so fun that I'd rather just cut out the sugar and have, Steph knows that I recently manifested like this $1,300 thing. I manifested the love of my life. I have a vacation coming up to Italy. Like I'm manifesting left and right. And I know it's
you are.
Body has been definitely in alignment more than ever, more than at least like the last 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Now, tell people a little bit more. Your free gift is all about 5 surprising eating habits that sabotage your energy. And I know a lot of what you teach is around energy and, maintaining good energy. Tell people a little bit about the free gift and what it is.
Yeah. So I'm actually changing this one, and it's going to be more around the mistakes that people use that, their diet mistakes that prevent them from, having that connection to their intuition and being able to manifest. So
Mm.
that is what the free gift is. And then you'll also get 6 breakfast recipes that help you, have a really solid foundation to your day so that your blood sugar is not dropping off and you can be a much more powerful manifestor throughout the day.
I love it. Well, and the side benefit of all that is you're probably also going to have good energy, right?
Exactly.
I'm sure. Well, everybody can get the free gift in today's email. Just click the link. And I am telling you, Steph's recipes, what I like about them is they're actually easy to make. And for you busy entrepreneurs like me, they're quick, and they're very realistic. They're not like 10-page recipes with ingredients you can't get anywhere nearby. So
Exactly.
tell people a little bit more about, where to find you, what you have upcoming, programs, anything going on.
Well, I'm about to launch a manifestation detox, but I think that by the time this interview airs, we might will have already ended, but I'm likely going to do another one in January, a sugar detox, which was wildly popular last year. So if you're interested in doing that, definitely jump on my email list. So if you download my free gift, you'll automatically be added to my email list. So that's one way to find out more information about that. And then I also will be doing a summit of my own all around manifesting. So the ancient secrets to, unlocking everything you've ever wanted. And this is really designed for people who have tried everything before, tried manifesting or, tried all of the non-spiritual stuff too to get what they want, and it hasn't been working. So definitely sign up, download my free gift, and then you'll also get information on that when it comes out if you're interested.
I laugh because Steph knows, when I manifested this love of my life, the one missing thing that I'm pretty convinced was my body. It was everything was fine. I've been envisioning and, praying and doing all the internal work. But then I knew, I was like, you know what, my body's out of alignment. I need to get it back in alignment. I made some major changes and voila, he came right into my life, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and you also left New York City and moved upstate, and cities can place a lot of stress on the body. And I lived in New York City for 7 years as well, and so I'm also very familiar with it. We both, listened to our bodies and moved, out somewhere that was going to be a lot, more in tune with nature. And I think that helps a lot and says a lot as well.
Huge. I'm so glad you're teaching people about this. This is seriously, these are the big secrets that I think have been missing from, the books like The Secret. So it's great. And everybody, thank you so much, Steph. And be sure to download her free gift. It's in today's email so you can manifest more and have a great life and have more energy. And Steph, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Beth. It's good chatting with you.
Great. And everybody, just be sure to join us tomorrow where we're having more interviews on the True Path Entrepreneur.